We've got tips and recipes for healthy living. So for fun and inspiration, come and join us in the raw food world.
Welcome everybody, this is Matt Monarch with the Raw Food World TV show, and I've got something very exciting to share with you. All those mushroom products on the market, after today, are going to seem like a complete joke after what you're about to discover. I am dumbfounded. We've got Debbie Clevin here, who's going to explain about this new processing of mushrooms, completely raw, unbelievable, and we're going to compare them to what's out there on the market right now. And Debbie, thanks for coming on.
You are welcome. I'm so happy to be here to chat with you and tell you everything I know about mushrooms and the kamut and anything else.
And the broccoli sprout powder and the processing of these mushrooms and the difference of all those other things we would love to hear about.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you want to start? Want to start about the mushrooms or?
Yeah, let's start with the mushrooms. Let's hear about it.
Okay, cool. Well, we have a mushroom product line now that is different than what is out there because it's raw. And let's just back up a few thousand years to, when the ancient Chinese people were out foraging in the forest for, the reishis and the chagas. And, this was their food. They would make teas and tinctures out of the fruiting bodies that they would collect, and because of the hard wood kind of structure of the mushroom, the fruiting body mushroom, you would need to do this because of the chitin content. Basically, it's hard to digest and kind of get through. It's a hard crab shell-like substance. So for thousands of years, that's what people did, and in the last about 30 years, mushroom growers started to refine the process of growing mycelium biomass, which is before the mushroom fruits. Actually, it's in the mycelium stage, and a long time ago, you wouldn't go collecting mycelium because how much work would that be to dig it up in the dirt or get it out of a tree trunk or something? Just really wouldn't be possible.
Right.
Because of the advanced techniques that have been perfected, we can do that now. So the mycelium, I compare it to a sprout. It's really high in energy and enzymes and all the extracellular compounds that are getting this material ready to produce a fruit. So, like the health institutes, they literally bring people out of the dead, like Hippocrates or Tree of Life or whatever, where they feed people sprouts and green juice, sprouted green juice, and can literally instantly bring people out of the dead because they're so concentrated in the enzymes and the energy, the life energy. Well, when you take a mushroom, the mycelium biomass and you bake it or, you tincture it, you're killing a lot of that stuff. Well, in the past, people kind of needed to do that just because they didn't have freeze-drying facilities and milling and, the techniques to grow the mycelium and what have you. But thanks to technology and a lot of hard work from a lot of people, we do now. So we're going to use that technology to create the best mushroom products ever. So what the ancient traditions kind of carried along with them was the notion that the mycelium had the same high chitin content and that we still needed to bake it and, extract and concentrate and what have you. But we don't. The chitin content is very low. It's very digestible. And what you notice about these mushrooms when you eat them, kind of similar to when you ate the kamut and that, wow.
Ridiculously wow, unbelievably wow, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. That's what you get from the mushrooms as well. And I never really felt anything like that before when eating mushrooms. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good mushroom products out there. People are doing spores and, and even the tinctures and the concentrates and the isolates and, what have you, they definitely have their place. And so I think the biggest thing is to use your own common sense, what resonates with you. If you feel like you want, reishi spores, then go to that, or fruiting body teas. There are definitely benefits. I mean, the anecdotal and the scientific research through thousands of years have proven the value of that. So by no means do I want to knock any of it. But what I'm saying is we have a different product here, and we get the benefits of all the synergy of all of the nutrients intact, and it's really exciting, and you can feel it. So that's what I really liked about it, is that I could, I knew it was doing something, and everyone I give it to just says the same thing. It's one of those, wow. So
what's the biggest difference in the processing of yours versus like the other products on the market that have their place?
Well, the first thing is that we don't bake ours. We don't put it in alcohol. It's grown, it's freeze dried, it's milled. Freeze drying is it's the gentlest process that you can use for drying, and a lot of the companies do air drying. So you'll notice, like in other kamut or wheatgrass powders, for instance, that it's kind of a dingy, greenish brown color, whereas mine is, bright green. And the reason for that is because we freeze dry it, number one, and number two, we do everything instantly. I mean, we have the growing facility right next to the freeze drying facility for, the kamut, for the mushrooms, and there's no messing around. There's no time in between where stuff is sitting around or what have you. So it's really fresh. And freeze drying is a really, really good process when you're processing foods like this. So, but the biggest difference really is that it's not baked. So it has all the nutrients and the enzymes intact still.
So it's the first raw mushroom on the market, is what we're saying here.
That I know of.
Right? Unbelievable.
So the reason that we're distributing in 250 gram packs is because, unlike the kamut, where you want to be really careful about the size of the quantity that you eat, the mushrooms, they're more like a food that you're just heaping tablespoons into your smoothie or right into your mouth, and there's a real mild, pleasant taste to the mushrooms. And so instead of taking cute little capsules with little 500 milligram servings or whatever, you're literally like heaping spoonfuls into your blender. Sometimes I'll just peel an orange and throw an orange and the mushrooms into the blender and make a thick little sludge, and spoon it in or what have you. So it's a real mild taste that don't consider it, like something that you would take capsule size. We're talking big spoonfuls.
Wow, so it's like a serious food here. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it is. A serious food. Maybe that's what we should call superfoods. This is serious food.
Okay, so many of you have probably tried the kamut that Debbie makes, and it's just unbelievable. You feel it, the energy, and it's practically alive. I haven't tried these mushrooms yet because they're on their way to us right now, and I'm just really excited to test this. Also, broccoli sprouts are of the highest nutrition content of any other sprouts that I've heard of, and she's actually done the same thing with that too, which we also have on our website in about 2 days. It will be live when you see this video. So maybe you could tell us about the broccoli sprout powder.
Again, it's we sprout the broccoli seeds and freeze dry and mill, and that's it. Simple. Raw whole food goodness, and everybody knows about the benefits of broccoli sprouts. So I won't go into any scientific jargon of studies and what have you. It's
right.
Eat it. It's good for you. It's food. And that's kind of what I want to say about what we're distributing here. what we're, growing, producing, distributing. It's food. I really almost want to get away from the terms superfoods, medicinal foods, super herbs, because really this is food. This is what our food is. You go to the grocery store and it's not really food. Even when you're buying organic, produce, the lettuces and the carrots, and this is a lot of really hybrid stuff, and it just doesn't have the potential to pick up the nutrients that wild food did, unhybrid heirloom varieties. And that's why I switched to kamut instead of wheatgrass, because it has the ability to pick up more nutrients. It's an heirloom kind of wheat. And that's really what we're doing now. 25 years ago, we were all going, well, should we eat the organic or the, commercially sprayed with pesticides and herbicides and, chemicals? Well, let's eat the organic. So that's what we did 25 years ago. And then 15 years ago, we went, well, should we cook it? Or should we just eat it raw and then have all the enzymes in it too? All right, well, let's eat it raw. And then like 5 years ago, we started to go, hey, let's eat more wild food and like unhybrid food. And so that's what we're doing now. And, we're calling it superfoods, but why don't we just call it food,
Yeah,
Why don't we,
totally.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kamut, that is so powerful. People could only handle a little bit. Like, when people take too much wheatgrass, they gag. It's almost like this with the kamut powder. It's so real and alive, and that's just like your process. Everything's instantaneous, like, right?
It's very concentrated. It's very concentrated, and that's a good. It comes in a little tiny, like cosmetic jar. I drank too much wheatgrass at one time, and then the projectile vomited nose that you just don't want to mess around with. The more is not better with this product. But when you have a small, good amount, it's amazing. It's really amazing. My favorite way to eat it actually is with a tiny bit of chocolate, raw chocolate. And I know chocolate, is all controversial, but I feel the highest benefits when I eat it with just a real small amount of chocolate. Maybe it's the MAOI inhibitors or something in chocolate. I don't know, but they seem to have a real synergy together. But yeah, just a quarter teaspoon is all you need, or it can definitely give you the pukes for sure. So the other thing about the kamut grass juice powder that's really special is that we water it with ocean minerals, concentrated ocean minerals. And all grass has the ability to pick up all known minerals. So it's literally this supercharged, remineralized green product, which is really important with, the fact that most of our soil is depleted of trace minerals. So how great is it to just get a little pile of green stuff that has all the minerals in it? So I think that's another really big part of that energy blast that we feel, is that we're all of a sudden getting minerals that we haven't had in a long time, if ever.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Debbie here, she has a lot of experience in this industry. She's been doing this for years on end. Do you want to tell us a bit about all of your experience with all this?
Yeah. I grew wheatgrass in the Bay Area, and at one point, I think I was the largest grower in the world. I didn't know anybody that was growing more than me. I was distributing from Northern California up to Washington and over to Colorado, and all the mom and pop stores locally, and all the chain stores. So we were a pretty big grower, and I had to get really involved with the the food science and the food safety, and it was quite a deal. So I started that 17 years ago.
Woo!
And I sold it last year. So just to move on to where my real passion is now, which is the more unhybrid wild type foods. So that's kind of where we're moving now. So it's really exciting for me.
Right on.
I did that for 17 years, and I think that I studied chemistry in college, and I always had a desire to know how things worked on a small level. And so I got really interested in food science as I was in the superfood, basically, industry. So I really, as I was eating the foods myself and kind of seeing how they were being produced by everyone else and how they were being talked about and labeled and portrayed, I found some things really interesting in the industry, and that a lot of times companies will put markers on the labels. They'll concentrate. Sometimes what happens is the testing methods that people use actually aren't accurate, because they can be testing for that compound. It's true, but that compound could be denatured. How many times, and it won't distinguish in the tests. Certain tests will distinguish only the active compound, and certain tests will just measure the compound after the product has been cooked, for instance, whether it's intact or denatured. And maybe our immune cell receptor sites will only recognize it if it's in this long chain, and you cook it and process it, and now all of a sudden it's just kind of, the chain is broken apart and it's denatured, and it doesn't fit lock and key in the receptor site anymore. And here they are, really talking about these high markers. So that's what I really like about our products, just being that they're raw, and we're not testing for markers, and we're not isolating and concentrating, and we're selling the food in a very digestible, high energy state. So that's what we're doing.
Wow, thank you for being out there for us all. I'm excited to get these out to the public.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for coming on, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Cool. Well, there you have it, guys. Go check out these ridiculous products that are probably the highest potency on the planet. And we'll see you again tomorrow at the Raw Food World TV show.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again at the Raw Food World.